one-stop shop.
So, I asked you who I was related to. Well, here's a couple of clues. First, Douglas is a fine Scottish name. My clan came to New Brunswick in the early 1800s. Now, recall, I asked you if I was related to a Hart, a Wilkinson, a McGrath, or a Maudsley. Maudsley. I'll leave it with you. Hey, remember Saving Private Ryan? Tom Hanks takes a platoon of B actors to save Private Ryan. 3 of his brothers have died and the Army wants to send at least one Ryan brother home alive. Well, Robert Coulter of Oshawa, Ontario has a strikingly similar tale. 4 brothers, World War I, only one survives. Robert's grandfather, Samuel Coulter. But is this story true? Our own Paul McGrath has just the trick to find out. Go, Paul!
Okay, here we are at the Library and Archives of Canada. Our first step is to find Samuel Coulter on the World War I database. We're going to enter the name Samuel Coulter. Now, here we have his attestation paper. Now I can see from this document that he was born in Inver, County Donegal, Ireland. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this to look for the other brothers. We're looking for Coulters born in the town of Inver, Ireland, who served Canada during the war. So I'm going to type in just the surname this time. Press enter. And I can see the attestation papers for 2 more brothers. Just 2 brothers, Albert and George. Now this is great because we have just confirmed that there are 3 Coulter brothers who fought for Canada, not 4. So the next thing we need to do is find out what they did during the war. What we do know is that Samuel joined the famed Little Black Devils, the Winnipeg Rifles, in 1914. He fought at the Somme, Passchendaele, and Vimy Ridge. But what we really need to find out is what happened to Sam and his 2 brothers. And here's the trick. For every soldier who fought for Canada, there's a military record that tells you everything that happened to that soldier during the war. All 600,000 of them. These service records are kept here at the Preservation Centre, part of the Library and Archives of Canada. This state-of-the-art building stores our most important and treasured documents, including the service records for the 3 Coulter brothers.
So Robert Coulter wanted to know if his grandfather was the only brother to survive the war. Well, looking at the documents, Samuel and Albert did survive the war. We know this because here are copies of their discharge certificates, which they received at the end of the war. Now, their brother George is a bit of a different story. There is no discharge certificate for George, but what we do have is what's called a proceedings on discharge, and it's close enough. And if we look a little further, we see why. Here we have a gas report, and it shows us that he was gassed by the enemy and suffered from the effects. And in fact, we can see that he died in 1923, probably from the effects of the gas.
Time for Jeff and me to tell Rob and his son Lance the news.
Well, we have some good news for you. Yes, Samuel survived the First World War. However, so did his 2 brothers, Albert and George.
But unfortunately, George died soon after.
We have here for you their service records, their war story.
This really brings them to life.
Yeah.
It's one thing to hear about the stories of the war, but this is your family, and you see the details of exactly where they fought. They did, in fact, fight for some time together as brothers.
It feels good to know that they fought together and had each other throughout the war to help you get through it.
So, Rob, let me ask you this. Now you have some solid answers. These are Army records. How do you feel?
All of a sudden, it's a different face on, these guys aren't soldiers, these guys are people that
Oh,
have to be there.
Your grandfather was 25.
Yeah, not very old.
66,000 Canadians died in the First World War. Although the Coulter brothers lived, their story of survival, like many of those who fought in the Great War, is bittersweet. Remember, if you're after the story of an ancestor who fought in either one of the world wars, it will be in their service record. And you can get those at the Library and Archives of Canada in Ottawa. Their link is on our website at historytelevision.ca. After the break, the skeleton in Dave Lawson's closet.